many different facets to a marriage relationship that would make the marriage work, not just love or the feeling of love. And just for the sake of this particular meeting and class, is that love is not just a feeling, but love is a decision that you make in your mind. Love is not that feeling that people just feel, but it is a decision that someone makes in their mind. And our imperative scriptures that we were using, it was Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 10, though I won't go into detail on it today so that I delve into today's topic. And we spoke about, okay, Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 10 says, "See, today I appoint you over nations and kingdoms to uproot and tear down, to destroy and overthrow, to build and to plant." And we said that even in the marriage situation and setup, God has called you to uproot some things, to tear down some things, and to destroy some things in your life and even in the situations around your marriage relationship. But don't just tear down and uproot. You must also build something. And just being a participant in this forum, this is part of building. This is part of building. Another passage of scripture that we looked into is Genesis chapter 1, verse number 27. And the Bible says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply." Let me just leave it at that. God did not just speak to Adam only, but he also spoke to Eve and he blessed both of them. And that will change probably the narrative of our perception about marriage, because everything is about perception. And I want to say here now that a successful marriage, okay, they usually say that whenever you see a successful man, there is a woman, a strong woman behind him. I want us to tweak or to change that a little bit. God did not create the woman to be behind the man. God created the woman and blessed the woman alongside the man. So once we have that perception in our mind that the woman is not behind the man, the woman is a helpmate to the man. So the woman is alongside. Actually, the woman was created from the man's rib, and the man's rib is not behind, it is actually besides. So I think that can help us change, or yes, change a mindset that we have about women, especially maybe for those who probably belong to the school of male chauvinists. And something that I would want to also dare say here now as we progress is that a rib is not straight. A rib is a little bit curved. So why do we expect the women to be straight? Food for thought, tafakari haya. So we left it at this. You should also acknowledge and celebrate your partner's achievements and successes, as well as support them in their challenges and difficulties. For the marriage to thrive and to be successful, instead of don't keep criticizing your partner, but acknowledge and celebrate your partner's achievements. This is very important. And I remember telling us and saying that whenever you see a little girl or a little boy, if you acknowledge them, if you celebrate them, yani ukimshangilia and you become their cheerleader, they will want to do more, they will want to do better, so that they can come back to you and even brag. Hey, mom, hi, dad, I have done ABCD. Or hi, Shosh, I have done ABCD. So the same concept, even in the marriage relationship, is that in every man, there's a little boy. In every woman, there's a little girl. So let us learn to celebrate the little man and the little girl in our spouses, and things are going to be very different. Quickly, the English language has only one word for love, or one definition for love. But the Greeks, who are ancient in terms of the ancient civilization, in terms of modern language and cultures and all that, they have, I think, 7 different words that define love. And as we talk about foundations, this is very important. Actually, this is a bonus slide. It was not there last week. I've only included it today, but I feel it is very important. So I will only walk through it. And I pray and hope that we are going to understand, because this is very foundational and it is very important. And as I said, the foundation of a building does not change. You can change the doors, you can change the roof, you can change the bulbs, but you don't mess and interfere with the foundation. So these 5 elements of love, according to the Greek people, is very foundational. And I don't think they can change. If you change them, then something is also going to change in your marriage relationship. And the first one is eros. Eros means, or rather, eros is a type of love that involves passion, lust, and romance. So the romantic kind of love is called eros. Just note that and underline that. If you're taking notes, you can write that. The second type of love is called philia, and philia is the kind of love that we have for our friends, because you do not love your friend the same way you love your wife, or you don't love your friend the same way you love your mother or your father. So the third kind of love is called storge, and storge is it's called, okay, storge is whereby it is the family kind of love, whereby you the way you love your brothers, the way you love your sisters, the way you love your mother, the way you love your children. According to the Greek, that is called storge. In English, you only say love, ama nakupenda na Kiswahili. It doesn't have many meanings, but when you explore other languages, you get a deeper meaning to it. Number four, which actually should be number one, is agape love. Agape is what we all know, or rather most of us know, and agape is defined as the sacrificial love, the one that God loves us with, or Christ loves us with. That is agape love. It is unconditional and it is sacrificial in nature. And we can say that as God loved the world, we can easily say God agaped the world. As Christ loved the church, as Christ agaped the world, and Christ commanded the husbands to love their wives. As okay, the husbands are commanded to love their wives as Christ loves the church. So what is that kind of a love? That is agape kind of love, not just storge. So Christ sacrificed for the church. So husbands, we are also being called to sacrifice even for our families and even for the women in our lives. Number five is ludus. I don't know whether that is proper pronunciation of Greek. I've not done Greek, but nikisoma tu kienyeji, it is ludus. And this is the playful or uncommitted kind of love. It will not essentially be here, but I put it here because it is playful. So when it comes to marriage, you need the combination of all these as a foundation. One, you need erotic, that is the romantic kind of love, but you realize it is not enough on its own. Remember, I said in the foundation, you cannot have stones or cement as the only thing in the foundation. You need a combination of many other things. So same case to philia. Philia is whereby you need to take your spouse, or rather your spouse needs to be a friend to you. So there is the romantic bit of it. There is being friends. Your partner needs to be your friend, by the way. You cannot have a wife or a husband who is not your friend. And a friend is someone who you can be naked with, not naked in terms of physical, but even naked in terms of sharing your fears, sharing your experiences, sharing your hopes and ideals and all that. So that is a good friend. Number three is that person, you also need to love one another and to appreciate each other as family. So because unaona, okay, when people get married, at some point they become like brothers and sisters. So that kind of love is important. And then the agape bit of it is whereby you love your partner unconditionally. And conditionally is you don't give them limits. You don't say I love you, but you remove the but. You love them nonetheless, even when they are wrong, even when they mess up, even when they make a mistake, but you still love them. That is agape kind of love. And when we practice that, even in our marriage and in our relationships, they are going to be very strong, and you're going to set very strong foundations. And then the last one on being playful, it will be wrong if you cannot be playful with your partner. Whatever that means to you, it will be wrong if you cannot be playful. So let's have a combination of all this, even as we study deeper, as we get the notes, and let's understand them. And let's know that these are foundations, and they are important as far as having a strong foundation for our marriage is concerned. Something else, which is the big point number 2, is spend quality time together with your partner. And okay, there's a difference between quantity time and quality time. You can spend a whole 12 hours with someone, but you are really not present with them. But you can spend 10 minutes with someone, but you're present. So my advice is spend quality time, not quantity time. Quantity time is okay, it is good, and there's room and place for quantity time, but also spend quality time. And quality time is whereby you are with your partner, you are with your spouse, you can hear them, not you can listen to them, you can feel them, you can understand them, and all that. So quality time is very key, and it is a foundation. You cannot have quality time when you're dating, and then during marriage or through marriage, you disregard quality time. Something is going to tilt, and it is not going to be very good. Point number 3 is that you need to respect each other's individuality and differences. Remember that when you got married to, or rather for those who are joining us and they're single, when you get married, you will get married not to half a person. Allow me to use this analogy. For those who can relate with carrying a jerrycan, a mtungi of water, when you carry a mtungi that is half full, and when you carry a mtungi that is full, which one is lighter or easier to carry? It is the one that is full, because the one that is half will give you issues. Itaanza kutingika and it can easily fall. So the Bible says, okay, is it in the Bible? No, it is not in the Bible, but 1 + 1 in God, according to God's mathematics, is equals to 1. As in, God expects a whole person to get married to another whole person, not half a person, because you do not wait until you get married for your partner to complete you. Your partner in marriage does not complete you. What your partner does, you complement each other, like any munaingiana, if you complement each other, not complete each other. So this will be very important for everybody to note that when you're getting into the marriage relationship, you are a complete person, first of all, yourself, and you have your own individuality, and you understand your differences. Once you understand yourself, then you will also be able to understand that the person you're tying the knot with, or the person you have tied the knot with, they are also independent people, and they have different temperaments, different love languages, different behaviors, and all that. And do not pursue to convert your partner to become like you. Appreciate the difference, appreciate the individuality in every person, because if all of us became the same, for example, if you're a sanguine as in terms of your temperament, and then in terms of your love language, probably you're a person who loves gift, and then your partner is also the same, where is the juice going to come from? Because they say that unlike poles are the ones that attract. So when you try to kill that, you're going to kill something in the relationship. So I hope that is clear, that we should respect each other's individuality and differences. Point number 4 is work on your intimacy and affection. Work on your intimacy and affection. And I want to say that many people get into the marriage situation thinking or imagining that the sexual intimacy is the only intimacy that they need to work on. Allow me to disappoint some people and say that sex is not the highest form of intimacy that you can get. The highest form of intimacy that anyone can get involved or engaged in is not sexual. It is spiritual. If you cannot connect spiritually first with your person or with your spouse, then even physically and any other areas, it is going to be difficult. Yes, you can connect for 1 month or 2 months, but if sex is the only thing that glues you together, and I'm not downplaying the value and place for that. I have actually, they won't engage more on the physical intimacy, because I'm going to share a small ebook. It's 8 pages that I have done on physical intimacy. So I won't talk much about that now, but you will get the notes. You will inbox me, and I will be able to share the link whereby you can download it. But I want to emphasize a little bit on spiritual intimacy. Spiritual intimacy is not just about going to the same church. Spiritual intimacy is beyond that. And I usually say, or rather there's a song that says, you're more beautiful when you get closer to God. And I want to use, I don't know whether I can sign off with a triangle like this, a triangle. The top part is the apex, and then the below part, a triangle, yeah? So the top part, like, yes, like this. The top part, let's say this is God. Let's say this is one spouse and this is the other spouse. So what happens in terms of spiritual intimacy? This is what I encourage, that every person individually in the marriage relationship, you should work towards getting intimate with God as an individual first. And at this point, many men fail the test because we usually say, I'm sending my family to the church, I am allowing my wife and my children to go and pray for me and all that. But where are you growing yourself spiritually? So when each partner is pursuing God individually, what happens is, as they near the apex, they will also grow near each other. They will bond together. As each marriage partner is pursuing God individually, they will also grow closer together. So that is very important, because if you cannot connect spiritually, remember, all things are spiritual anyway before they are manifested in the physical. And in the spiritual world, as we have seen, from the book of Jeremiah, is that there are some things that we will need to destroy. There are some things that we will need to uproot. So if you cannot speak the same language with your partner spiritually, then you're going to have a very difficult time in the course of your marriage. So I encourage that even as much as people would go to the same church, it is also very important to make sure that even in the family setup, you are also growing spiritually, because as you grow spiritually, then you're also going to bond and to gel together. I don't know whether I can overemphasize that enough, but may each person desire and purpose to grow in their spiritual aspect. The other intimacy that I want to talk about is the intellectual intimacy or emotional intimacy. You see, there are many couples and spouses who do not connect intellectually. Intellectually, I mean here, kwa kichwa, head. Can you think? Can you reason together? Or are you the kind of a spouse who maybe, for example, if it's the husband speaking, and then the husband asks the wife, what do you think about this? And then the wife says, venye wewe unafikiria tu ndivyo tutafanya. As in, you don't even use your own head. Or the wife is speaking and asks the husband, and then the husband is not even thinking. And then the husband just says, whatever you're thinking, you just do that. So there is a place for intellectual intimacy, because if you cannot connect intellectually with your partner will find someone else who can connect intellectually with them. It could be in their place of work, it could be in the neighborhood, as in, who is that other person they can have a logical conversation with. And let us not downplay that, by the way. Intellectual intimacy is very important, and let us desire to make, okay, for example, let me just use an example. If maybe partner A or spouse A works in a certain industry and partner B works in another industry, then it is important for each partner to try and understand, even intellectually, how the other industry works, so that even when they are at home and in the house, they can be able to advise each other with regards to their particular situations. Even, for example, maybe when even it is politics of the land, if your partner is clueless, you cannot connect intellectually, you cannot even discuss what is happening in the country, then that means your spouse will go and find someone else who they can spend more time with. And remember, the person you spend more time with, you tend to love them and to fall in love with them. And I'm sure we do not want that to happen. So let me just highlight that spiritual intimacy is very important. Physical intimacy is equally very important, by the way. I'm not downplaying that. It is crucial, as much as when you go to a foundation, if you have cement and if you have concrete, you cannot make anything with them without water. Water is what glues and bonds them together. That is the place and value for physical intimacy. You have all this, everything else. You cannot override spirituality or intellectuality. You need physical intimacy as well to bond and put everything together. So number 5, which is managing conflict constructively in any relationship. By the way, nobody should lie to any of us that marriage is perfect, or that there is such thing as a perfect marriage or a smooth sailing marriage. Somebody said that even if marriage was a rose, even red roses have got some thorns that prick. So whenever you put even 2 acts together, I think this is a common saying, they will definitely collide with each other. So even in the marriage situation and the marriage setup, conflicts do arise. And the presence of conflict does not mean that love has escaped or disappeared. Conflict comes because essentially we are different people. You need to understand that you have different personalities, you have different backgrounds, you have different upbringings. Even people who are born by the same parent, and brought up in the same house and in the same environment and went to the same schools and they go to the same church and they have the same grandmother and the same grandfather, they also have conflicts because we are essentially different in terms of our wiring. But we need to handle conflicts in a mature way, and we need to handle a conflict in a peaceable manner. And one of the ways whereby we can handle conflicts is that you need to identify the root cause of the conflict and address it directly. Don't just assume that ABCD has happened, so you are at the wrong or on the wrong, and or rather I'm right and you're wrong. No, find out what is the root cause of the problem. Sometimes you could be having conflicts in the house, and the root cause of the problem is not something that you have done in the recent past. The root cause of the problem, it could be something that happened many years ago, probably in childhood, but it is manifesting now. And if it is something that happened in childhood, then you need to find ways of how you can be able to bring about healing of the soul wounds, or healing of those childhood traumas and wounds that occur. But essentially learn to identify the root cause of a problem. If someone is not talking, then the problem is not that they don't have a voice. There's another underlying problem, and that is what you need to find out and to try and solve. Something else that you need to do as far as we are managing conflict is to listen actively and empathetically. Many people do not know how to listen. Okay, or rather, we said last week that the problem in communication is that some people listen so that they can respond, but we should listen so that we can understand. So, and this happens a lot. And whenever we are listening to your partner, to your spouse, and this goes not only in the marriage, but even in the workplace and in any other relationship, learn to listen to understand. And when you're listening, listen actively. And by listening actively is you can ask clarifying questions. If something is not clear, seek for clarifications. That is very important. And you can ask some open-ended questions so that you are able to understand. Remember, you're communicating so that you can understand the other person. You're not just hearing for the sake of hearing, but you're hearing and listening so that you can understand. And when you do that, then it's going to be very easy for anyone to be able to resolve the conflicts that might arise, or the conflicts that could arise in our relationships. So there are basically 4 different stages of conflict resolution, or rather of handling conflicts. And some people handle it usually the wrong way. One is win and conquest. Win is whereby a particular person or a particular spouse, you just want to be the one winning the argument all the time. You cannot be the one who is winning the argument every time and every day. No, that is the wrong notion, and that is the wrong path or approach to solving a conflict. And when that happens, if one person always wants to be the one winning and to be the one conquering, yani kila saa and your commando and all that, what usually happens is the other person usually withdraws. They will withdraw from the relationship. Okay, not from the relationship, but they will withdraw from any conversation that looks like a conflict. And sometimes conflicts are not bad, because it is through conflicts and changing or rather exchanging ideas and views whereby we find a solution or we create something new. But you cannot have a situation whereby someone just wants to win. So if one party just wins, the other party over time, they will withdraw. And when they withdraw, then they usually do surrender. What that happens is they create something that is called stonewalling. You find that you're in a marriage relationship or situation, but you're not really together. You're not really communicating. Yes, you will ask each other about food, about maybe where we are going tomorrow, or that kind of a thing, or what time are you waking up. But basically, that is not communication. Communication in the marriage setup should be deeper, whereby you can talk about your fears, your concerns, and your big plans as well. But when one party just wants to win, what that essentially does is that the other party withdraws and surrenders, and they create a stonewall. And a stonewall means you're not able to communicate or to reach to the other person. And that is not a good thing. And other people usually do something that is called gaslighting as well. Gaslighting is whereby you criticize the other person so much. And especially the person who likes winning the argument, they are the people who criticize the other party so much. And when you criticize the person, you essentially kill something inside of them because they are not able to communicate, they're not able to express themselves. Now, the most preferred and advised mode of conflict resolution is something called resolution on its own. So what is the resolution? Allow me to use this analogy. Resolution is like, or rather proper communication is like commuting. We usually say, for example, if I'm coming here to go to town or to Ngong, I will say, I am commuting from town to Ngong. What does that mean? Town is point A, Ngong is point B. So proper communication and resolution is one person has to come from point A, the other person is at point B. So each person has to move to a middle ground, as in the one person is on one mountain, the other person is on another mountain. You cannot have communication if one person stays in the valley and the other person in the mountain stays in the mountain, and it is always this person in the valley who always has to climb up the mountain. That is wrong. The proper mode of communication is whoever is on the mountain needs to climb down a little bit, whoever is in the valley needs to climb up a little bit. That way we are going to meet somewhere in between. And this affects not just in the marriage situation, even in the family setup, in our families, in the workplace. Let us always seek that middle ground. So don't always desire to always be right. You cannot always be the right one. Otherwise, if you're always right, know that you're killing something in your partner or you're killing something in your children, because even some parents hurt their children because they do not want their children to have a voice. And if your child cannot have a voice, they will grow knowing that they're not supposed to speak. They're not supposed to have a voice. And again, that is wrong. So I believe, and I hope this has helped someone, that the proper way of having solving a conflict or managing a conflict, because conflicts are usually managed, it is not always to win, because when you always win, someone will withdraw. And when someone withdraws, after some point, they will surrender. And when they surrender, there will never be a communication in that relationship. So what you want is proper resolution. And resolution is whereby I have said, allow me to repeat this, one person comes from point A, the other person is at point B, and each person cedes some ground, and you're able to see each other eye to eye. Remember, you communicate so that you can understand, not so that you can have your way. Some people are like, it's either my way or the highway, which is a wrong approach to that. Big point number 6 is agree on family involvement. Family involvement is another foundational element that people need, that we all need to work on and to understand. Remember, when you got married, you didn't get married to someone who was living in the air. You got married to someone who came from somewhere. And getting married, hata kama tunaambiwa a man should leave his father and mother, and also the spouse will also leave his father and mother. Most likely, most often, especially the men, tunatakanga the wives will leave their father and mother. But sisi hatutaki kuleave our father and mother. So that is something that we need to work. And living, I don't mean moving from home. It is living in terms of being responsible, in terms of being your own unit. Living is even in terms of mindset and all that. But family involvement as a couple, you need to agree on when and how you're going to be involved in each other's families. Remember, it will be so wrong for the husband to always want things done on their side of the family, and nothing is being done on the side of the wife's family. So create a balance. Agree, if this particular holiday or this particular month we went to my side of the family, then this particular month we will go to your side of the family. If there's a need in any family, don't just support one side of the family, but learn to support both sides of the other family as well. So family involvement is very important. And remember, as Africans, there's no way you can say now that you're married, ati mtakuwa tu nyinyi peke yenu, that you divorce and you cut off your extended families from yourselves. No, I think that is not ideal. And it is dangerous for any relationship, because we are a family unit. Remember, who you are today, whether positive or negative, you are formed by your family. So that family involvement, now that you're married, you cannot kill and destroy that. You need to, again, there's something that is called legacy. there are those things that you find your people doing, your maybe parents or grandparents doing. You also want to leave a legacy for your own family and for your own children. You do not always have to do things the way your grandparents were doing or your parents were doing. You can now start creating a new legacy where you are at. And then you say, me and my family, me and my household, me and my lineage, we are going now to do things this way. Agree on how you're going to get involved. Then let me move on to the next one, which is growing together. Growing together, again, is very important. Remember, for marriage to thrive, or even for anyone to thrive and to be happy in life, you need to be growing. Because if you're not growing, you're decaying. There are not two ways about it. If you stagnate in one place for too long, you will start decaying. Na ukianza kudecay, utaanza kuoza. So what am I saying here? That sometimes in some relationships, you find that one person advances so much in their career, in their education, in their lifestyle and everything, and they leave the other person behind. Ati mpaka ukiona husband and wife saa zingine wakipelekana kwa barabara, hata huwezi sema ni husband and wife, because hata hawafanani in terms of, they don't match. Unapata maybe husband ako very affluent and the wife is not. Or rather, the wife is very affluent and the husband is not. So what am I encouraging here? It is very important for you to grow together. If it comes to the area of academics, it is, if one person, you're growing from certificate level to diploma, to degree, to master's, to PhD, to another degree, to another PhD, and then your partner is still at certificate level, ama KCSE level, and you're not encouraging them to grow in any way, that means that you will stop connecting intellectually. You will stop connecting because you cannot reason together. But growing together, okay, it does not just mean or stick to education level. Sometimes some people could be in business, and someone, maybe you just left school and you joined business, but you're growing, you're not at the same place you are at. That can be equated to growth, or rather it is actually growth. So the most dangerous thing is for one person in the relationship to stay in one place for too long without growth. If one of the parties is growing, kindly encourage the other person or the other party to grow as well. Otherwise, after some years, you're going to realize that instead of growing together, you will start growing apart, and you do not want to happen. Point number 8, which is my second last point, it is about know each other. Know each other, mujuane. And knowing each other is not just knowing each other's second name or third name or where they went to school. Actually, anyway, even knowing where each went to school is important. You might be surprised. There are people who do not know where their spouses went to nursery school, to primary school, how many secondary schools they attended and all that, and colleges and all that. It is important when you know your spouse. It is important when you seek to know them, because that will enhance that intimacy. It will help build the physical intimacy and the intellectual intimacy. When you are intentional about knowing your partner, then you will be intentional about bonding together. And when someone akijua, as in mtu akijua najulikana, you feel better. You feel good that my partner is concerned about my well-being. And also need to know about each other's stress triggers and support each other, because everyone has their own stress triggers. Na kama kuna kitu na stress mtu, as a spouse to this person, you need to know what triggers that stress and how can you help them overcome that particular stress. And when that is done, then you're going to be at a better place. My last point is something that is called purpose. And I'm sure we have come across this word many times, especially the last 2 decades. It has been very key and very keen. And purpose applies to most things in life. Purpose applies to most things in life. This is essentially the reason why something was created. So without it, we simply drift or expect others to make us happy when happiness lies within. Allow me to just say this, that purpose is why you were created, or rather why you exist. Let us understand that. And even in your marriage, you did not just get married for the sake of having children only. Or rather, you did not get married for the sake of living together, because some people got married because they feared being alone or growing old alone. So irrespective of your why you got married, you need to seek and to understand your purpose for marriage, because God did not just put the two of you together, or God is not going to put the two of you together so that you can just have children. No, there is a bigger purpose. There's a bigger reason and a bigger meaning and a bigger assignment that your marriage is supposed to fulfill. One of my coaches, Papa's coach, his name is Gabriel. He says that purpose is something that you do not retire from. What do I mean by that? For example, if someone is a doctor, even when you retire from being a doctor, you continue treating people elsewhere. If you are a teacher, if you retire from being a teacher and you're really retired, then that means it was not your purpose. But even after retirement, you still teach. That means your purpose is around the circle of teaching. So what am I saying here? That this purpose is not just tied to what you do for a living or tied to what pays your bills, but purpose is tied to fulfillment and satisfaction in life. Remember, purpose is important because some people expect your marriage partner or your spouse to make you happy, but your partner cannot make you happy. Okay, they can make you happy, yes, but you cannot rely on your partner for your happiness. Mswahili husema raha jipe mwenyewe. So when you're pursuing your purpose, you're going to become happy. And when you're happy and your partner is also pursuing their purpose, they are also happy. So what happens when you meet together in the evening or even during the day, you're two happy people. But it cannot be that one person is pursuing their purpose and the other person is not pursuing their purpose, and then you expect to be happy. It is wrong for any of the marriage partners to expect happiness from your partner. Raha jipe mwenyewe. I don't know whether that sticks. Now, one of the greatest coaches as far as or teachers as far as purpose is concerned is Rick Warren. He's the author of The Purpose-Driven Life. This is about finding your purpose. And there's something that he says, and this is a book that I would really recommend for you to read in case you haven't read it, and you read it nicely. It is very broad and it will help you discover or find your purpose. Because I believe that once you find your purpose, you're finding your area of assignment in life. And when you find your area of assignment in life, you become more fruitful. You become more fruitful and you become more productive. And that is what God commanded in Genesis. Go, be fruitful and have dominion. So you can only have dominion when you operate in your area of purpose. So even in your marriage setup, it is very important for you to know that you have a bigger purpose than having children. Now, one of the areas that you need to discover, he talks about shape, and shape, the S means spiritual gifts. It is very important and very key for you to discover and to find out what your spiritual gifts are. And I'm going to give us a few links that we are going, one link that you're going to check it out, and it's going to help you a lot. Once you discover your spiritual gifts, the Bible says you need to spur each other to do good work. So if you know your partner is gifted in area A, kindly support them. Don't discourage them. You can even fund their gift. Point number 2, H, is heart. Heart. What are you passionate about? What do you love doing? When you find out what you're passionate about, when you find out what your partner loves to do, support each other and also support yourself and grow as far as that is concerned. Abilities. Point number 3 is abilities. What are your natural talents that you are born with? Enhance your natural talents, and you're going to be more purposeful and also improve on your skills. Even if you're gifted in something, gift alone is not enough. You need to be skilled in your area of gifting. For example, let me pick a footballer. Let me pick a footballer. Messi is arguably the best footballer in the world. He is talented in that area, but if he did not improve on his skill, he will go nowhere. So we have very many people who are naturally talented, but they have not worked on that skill. They have not honed the skill. So it is very important for you to help your partner work on their skill. Something else is about personality. Personality is how you are wired. Personality is who you are. Personality is about your temperaments, your love language and all that, and how you are cultured and how you are brought up and how you are educated. That forms your personality. And even in marriage situation, it is very important for you to understand your personality, and your personality helps shape. Your personality helps shape your purpose and who you really are. Another thing is about experiences, and all of us have gone through different experiences. Some experiences are good, some experiences are bad or are painful, but there's no bad experience per se, and there's no experience that goes to waste. All experience is important. Everything is important. So whatever you have gone through, nothing is wasted. And we are usually told that as far as purpose is concerned, that your mess in life or your mistake in life can become your message in life. I hope we get that. Your purpose, your mess can become your message. So as far as a spiritual gift is concerned, because I want to wind it up in about 2 minutes, and then I'll open it up for 1 or 2 people to give feedback. Kindly prepare to do that, those people who are still on. So you pray and ask God to reveal your gifts to you. That is very important. Study the Bible and find out your area of giftings. Analyze yourself and your interests, and then take a spiritual gifts assessment or inventory. There's a website called spiritualgiftstest.com. So there's one for youths and then there's one for adults. So if you're listening to me and you're an adult, you can go to that site. I hope you can see it on your screen. You can write it down or you'll get it in the notes that I will share later. Spiritualgiftstest.com. It will help you identify your your top 4 gifts. Nobody is gifted at a gift moja hivi. All of us are multi-gifted. You will realize that you have 3 or 4 gifts, by the way, because nobody does one thing only. You can do 2 things, you can do 3 things, which is okay, and grow in them. So this will help you kind of identify your spiritual gifts, and then you can start your journey from there, and you're going to go far. Once you discover that, then that means you're going to be more fruitful in life, you're going to be more purposeful in life, and that in return, you're going to have a more productive marriage. So in conclusion of what we have been saying is communicate openly and honestly with your spouse. Be willing to compromise. And compromise, I don't mean compromising with sin, but I mean compromising your position. You do not always have to be the one winning. Sometimes allow the other person to win, by the way. So another thing is make time for each other, even when you're busy. I know, especially in today's age, you are hustling and all that. Everyone is busy, but even in our busyness, let us create time for each other. Something else is show love and appreciation for your spouse. Don't just tell them that you love them. Don't just tell them that they know you love them, but show them. Na matendo. Actions speak louder than words. Something else is forgive each other when you make mistakes. You're bound to make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. During the dating phase, people can pretend. But some people say that love is blind. Personally, I don't believe love is blind. This is what I believe. Love is not blind. And even if love was blind, marriage is the eye opener. When you get married, your eyes, your blindness will cease, macho yako itafunguka. So learn to forgive each other, because in marriage, lazima mtakosana tu, lazima mta conflict with each other, but learn to forgive each other. Learn to forgive each other. And then something else, work together to solve problems, and be patient and understanding with your partner. And then never give up on your marriage, because this is about encouraging marriages. So I will not talk about divorce or separation, although I know sometimes at such a time comes whereby maybe it is not possible to carry on, but let giving up be the last thing that you do. So I will not dwell so much on that, because the purpose for this is to encourage people to grow in their marriage and in their love relationship. But we know at some point inafikanga hapo na unasema afadhali nikiwa peke yangu. And sometimes you're better off anyway alone than dead. Though that is sad to end it on that note.